The story of the McAndrew family. A long time ago, in the county Mayo, there lived a rich man of the name of McAndrew. He owned horses and cows without number, not to mention ducks and geese and pigs, and his land extended as far as the eye could reach on the four sides of you. McAndrew was a lucky man, the neighbors all said, but as for himself, when he looked on his 7 big sons growing up like weeds, and with scarcely any more sense, he felt sore enough. Thanks for the stories. I'm off for a bit. Welcome back. Thank you, TK. Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully I will see you next time. Enjoy whatever you're about to do. For of all the stupid Omadhauns, the 7 McAndrew brothers were the stupidest. When the youngest grew to be a man, the father built a house for each of them, and gave every one a piece of land and a few cows, hoping to make men of them before he died. For, as the old man said, "While God spares my life, I'll be able to have an eye to them, and maybe they will learn from experience." The 7 young McAndrews were happy enough. Their fields were green, their cows were fat and sleek, and they thought they would never see a poor day. All went well for a time, and the day of the fair of Killala was as fine a day as ever shone in Ireland. When the whole 7 got ready to be off, bright and early in the morning. Each one of them drove before him 3 fine cows and a finer herd, and when they were all together, was never seen in the country far or near. Now, there was a smart farmer named O'Toole, whose fields were nearing on the McAndrews, and he had many a time set his heart on the fine cattle belonging to his easygoing neighbors. So when he saw them passing with their 21 cows, he went out and hailed them. "Where are you going to this fine morning?" "It's to the fair of Killala we're going, to sell these fine cows our father gave us," they all answered together. "And are you going to sell cows that the evil eye has long been set on?" "Oh, Con and Seamus, I would never believe it of you, even if that Spalpeen of a Pat would do such a thing. Any one would think that the spirit of the good mother that bore you would stretch out a hand and keep you from committing such a mortal sin." This O'Toole said to the 3 eldest, who stood trembling, while the 4 younger ones stuck their knuckles into their eyes and began to cry. "Oh, indeed, Mr. O'Toole, we never knew that the cows were under the evil eye. How did you find it out?" "Oh, sorra the day when such a fine lot of cattle should go to the bad," answered Con. "Indeed, you may well ask it, when it's myself that was always a good neighbor and kept watch on old Judy, the witch, when she used to stand over there laughing at the ravens flying over the cows. Do you mind the time your father spoke ugly to her down by the crossroads? She never forgot it, and now your 21 fine cows will never be worth the hides on their backs." "Warra, warra, warra," roared the 7 McAndrews, so loud that pretty Katie O'Toole bobbed her head out of the window, and the hindermost cows began to caper like mad. "The spell has come upon them," cried Seamus. "Oh, what will we do? What'll we do?" "Hold your whist, man alive," said O'Toole. "I'm a good neighbor, as I said before, so to give you a lift in the world, I'll take the risk on myself and buy the cows from you for the price of their hides. Sure no harm can be done to the hides for making leather, so I'll give you a shilling apiece, and that's better than nothing. 21 bright shillings going to the fair may make your fortune." It seemed neck or nothing with the McAndrews, and they accepted the offer, thanking O'Toole for his generosity, and helped him drive the cows into his field. Then they set off for the fair. They had never been in a fair before, and when they saw the fine sights, they forgot all about the cows, and only remembered that they had each a shilling to spend. Everyone knew the McAndrews, and soon a crowd gathered round them, praising their fine looks and telling them what a fine father they had to give them so much money, so that the 7 Omadhauns lost their heads entirely and treated right and left until there wasn't a farthing left of the 21 shillings. Then they staggered home a little the worse for the fine whiskey they drank with the boys. It was a sorry day for old McAndrew when his 7 sons came home without a penny of the price of their 21 fine cows, and he vowed he'd never give them any more. So one day passed with another, and the 7 young McAndrews were as happy as could be until the fine old father fell sick and died. The eldest son came in for all the father had, so he felt like a lord. To see him strut and swagger was a sight to make a Grum Growdy laugh. I like that, a Grum Growdy. One day, to show how fine he could be, he dressed in his best, and with a purse filled with gold pieces, started off for the market town. When he got there, in he walked to a public house, and called for the best of everything, and to make a fine fellow of himself, he tripled the price of everything to the landlord. As soon as he got through, his eye suddenly caught the sight of a little keg, all gilded over to look like gold, that hung outside the door for a sign. Con had never heeded it before, and he asked the landlord what it was. Now the landlord, like many another, had it in mind that he might as well get all he could out of a McAndrew, and he answered quickly, "You stupid Omadhaun, don't you know what that is? It's a mare's egg." "And will a foal come out of it?" "Of course! What a question to ask a decent man." "I never saw one before," said the amazed McAndrew. "Well, you see one now, Con. Take a good look at it." "Will you sell it?" "Och, Con McAndrew, do you think I want to sell that fine egg after keeping it so long hung up there before the sun, when it is ready to hatch out a foal that will be worth 20 good guineas to me?" "I'll give you 20 guineas for it," answered Con. "Then it's a bargain," said the landlord, and he took down the keg and handed it to Con, who handed out the 20 guineas, all the money he had. "Be careful of it, and carry it as easy as you can, and when you get home, hang it up in the sun." Con promised and set off home with his prize. Near the rise of a hill he met his brothers. "What have you, Con?" "The most wonderful thing in the world, a mare's egg." "Faith, what is it like?" asked Pat, taking it from Con. "Go easy, can't you? It's very careful you have to be." But the brothers took no heed to Con, and before one could say whist, away rolled the keg down the hill, while all 7 ran after it. But before anyone could catch it, it rolled into a clump of bushes, and in an instant out hopped a hare. "Bedad, there's the foal!" cried Con, and all 7 gave chase, but there was no use trying to catch a hare. "That's the finest foal that ever was. If he was 5-year-old, the devil himself could not catch him," said Con. And with that, the 7 Omadhauns gave up the chase and went quietly home. As I said before, everyone had it in mind to get all he could out of the McAndrews. Everyone said, one man might as well have it as another, for they're bound to spend every penny they have. So their money dwindled away. Then a fine horse would go for a few bits of glass they took for precious stones, and by a couple pigs or a pair of fine geese for a bit of ribbon to tie on a hat. And at last their land began to go. One day Seamus was sitting by his fireplace warming himself, and to make a good fire he threw on a big heap of turf, so that by it got roaring hot. And instead of feeling chilly as he had before, Seamus got as hot as a spare rib on a spit. Just then in came his youngest brother. "That's a great fire you have here, Seamus." "It is indeed." "Too near it is to me. Run like a good boy to Giblin, the mason, and see if he can't move the chimney to the other side of the room." The youngest McAndrew did as he was bid, and soon in came Giblin, the mason. "You're in a sad plight, Seamus, roasting alive. What can I do for you?" "Can you move the chimney over beyond?" "Faith, I can, but you will have to move a bit. Just go out for a walk with your brother, and the job will be done when you come back." Seamus did as he was bid, and Giblin took the chair the Omadhaun was sitting on, and moved it away from the fire, and then sat down for a quiet laugh for himself, and to consider on the price he'd charge for the job. When Seamus came back, Giblin led him to the chair, saying, "Now isn't that a great deal better?" "You're a fine man, Giblin, and you did it without making a bit of dirt. What'll I give you for so fine a job?" "If you wouldn't mind, I'd like the meadow field nearing on mine. It's little enough for a job like that." "It's yours, and welcome, Giblin," and without another word the deed was drawn. That was the finest of the McAndrew fields, and the only pasture land left to Seamus. It was not long before it came about that first one and then another lost the house he lived in, until all had to live together in the father's old place. O'Toole and Giblin had encroached field by field, and there was nothing left but the old house and a strip of garden that none of them knew how to till. It was hard times for the 7 McAndrews, but they were happy and contented as long as they had enough to eat, and that they had surely, for the wives of the men who got away all their fine lands and cattle, had sore hearts when they saw their men enriched at the expense of the Omadhauns, and every day, unbeknownst to their husbands, they carried them meat and drink. O'Toole and Giblin now had their avaricious eyes set on the house and garden, and they were on the watch for a chance to clutch them, when luck, or something worse, threw the chance in the way of O'Toole. He was returning from town one day, just in the cool of the afternoon, when he spied the 7 brothers by the roadside, sitting in a circle facing each other. "What may you be doing here instead of earning your salt, you 7 big stirks?" "We're in a bad fix, Mr. O'Toole," answered Pat. "We can't get up." "What's to hinder you from getting up, I'd like to know? Don't you see our feet are all here together in the middle, and not for the life of us can we each tell our own. You see, if one of us gets up, he don't know what pair of feet to take with him." O'Toole was never so ready to laugh before in his life, but he thought, "Oh boy, these boys aren't smart. Definitely not." O'Toole was never so ready to laugh before in his life, but he thought, "Now's me chance to get the house and garden before Giblin, the mason, comes round." So he looked very grave and said, "I suppose it is hard to tell one man's feet from another's when they're all there in a heap, but I think I can help you, as I have many a time before. It would be a sorry day for you if you did not have me for a neighbor. What will you give me if I help you find your feet?" Anything we have so that we can get up from here," answered the whole 7 together. "Will you give me the house and garden?" "Indeed we will. What good is a house and garden if we have to sit here all the rest of our lives?" "Then it's a bargain," said O'Toole, and with that he went over to the side of the road and pulled a good stout rod. Then he commenced to belabor the poor McAndrews over the heads, feet, shoulders, and any place he could get in a stroke, until with screeches of pain they all jumped up, every one finding his own feet, and away they ran. So O'Toole got the last of the property of the McAndrews, and there was nothing left for them but to go and beg. I feel like there's a moral in that story about just, like, don't be dumb. It can't be that, yeah, that's sad. It can't be that it's like the moral. It almost feels like the moral is like go out and find stupid people and take advantage of them. And I feel like that's not a good moral. Or it's just a story that's meant to be funny, but in my mind it's not. I don't know. It does read very well. Like, I didn't struggle with, there's 7 plus the dad is 8, 9, 10. There's 10 different like people with he pronouns, and I didn't struggle to figure out what was going on. So I feel like this story is just well written compared to the last one. I was expecting something bad to happen to the neighbors. Yeah, almost like, you know, like if you take advantage of someone, like karma will come around and get you or whatever. Like, I feel like that's a common thing for fairy tales and folk tales and stuff, is to be like, don't be a bad person and it won't come back and bite you. But this was, no, like they just got their neighbor's stuff. Interesting. I did like the way that it was written. I wasn't trying to do an Irish accent, but it was just written in a way that made it easy to do an Irish accent. So I was like, oh, that came out of my mouth just suddenly. Because of how it was written. Just like, because their dialogue is written like phonetically. So that was cool. It was helpful, I thought, to write it in that way. Held a message. Let's allow that. I was expecting something bad to happen to the neighbor. Oh, wait, we read that one. Yes, if you do good things will happen to you, except when you try to rip off your dumb neighbor. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there should have been some kind of a moral there. I guess it's that proverb, a fool and his money are easily parted. Yeah. I guess it's just, Yeah, like I guess it's just a like don't be a fool kind of a situation. But that's hard to like if you just don't have the intelligence or the smarts or the training or whatever, or you just like a naive person, like that's hard to just not do that.
Hi there. Thanks for joining our book club. If you'd like to join the conversation, I would love it if you would leave us a comment. And if you'd like to see more, check out the playlist.